Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasraka Chakshurunmritam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, welcome to our ISKCON Bulla official YouTube channel. Today I am going to discuss 28th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto, which describes Jnana Yoga. This chapter briefly summarizes the process of Jnana Yoga, which previous chapters described in detail. In Bhagavad Gita also Jnana Yoga is there, that is 13th chapter. Prakriting Purusham Chaiva Khetra Khetra Gumavacha Etad Vedam Ichami Jnanam Jnana Kesava. Jnana and Gaya. The six things have been described in 13th chapter of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So here, 28th chapter also, this Jnana Yoga is being described. Every created thing in this universe is a material product of the three modes of nature and is subject to sensory perception, essentially unreal. Actually, the designations of good and bad that we assign to the various objects and activities of this world are all superficial. Text 1, the Lord says, Parasvabhava karmani na prasanse na grahet vishwam ekatmakam pashyan prakritya purushena cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, one should neither praise nor criticize the conditioned nature and activities of other persons. Rather, one should see this world as simply the combination of material nature and the enjoying souls, all based on the absolute truth. Siddha Swami in his purport says, Idanim ati vistarinaktom jnana yogam sankhepena bhaktamaha. Jnana yoga, if we describe in detail, there is so much thing there, but it is summarized here in this verse. It is better to avoid condemning or praising anything of this world, because doing so simply entangles one in matter and deprives one of the higher goals of spiritual life. Hidden within every object of the material universe is the spirit soul who underlies both the cause and products of manifest existence. One should see things in this light and thus move about the material world in a mood of detachment. As long as there is a relationship between the bodily senses, which are comprised of matter, and the soul, which is the reality, one will continue in false consciousness. Although material existence is unreal, those who lack discrimination remain entangled in the cycle of birth and death because of their absorption in sense gratification. All the phases of material life, the birth, death, sorrow and happiness, belong not to the soul but to the materialistic false ego. By learning to distinguish between the soul and its opposite, matter, one can destroy this false identification. There is a single absolute truth present at the beginning and at the end of this world. During its interim or maintenance phase, the cosmic manifestation is also founded upon the same absolute truth. This absolute or Brahman exists everywhere, both positively by its manifestations and negatively by its aloofness. Brahman is unique in being self-sufficient, whereas this world is the expansion of Brahman produced through the material mode of passion. By the mercy of a bona fide spiritual master, one can understand the absolute truth and come to appreciate the non-spiritual nature of the material body and its extensions. Desisting from engagement in material sense enjoyment, one then becomes satisfied in the ecstasy of the self. Just as the sun remains untouched by the coming and going of clouds, the discriminating, liberated person remains unaffected by the activities of these senses. Nevertheless, until one becomes perfectly fixed in Bhakti Yoga, pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord, one should carefully avoid contacting material sense objects. An aspiring devotee may meet various obstacles and fall down, but in his next life he will continue his practice by dint of what he has already accomplished in devotional service. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, Neha Vikramana Swasti Pratyabhaya Navidyate Sharpamapyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahato Bhayat. In Bhagavad Gita, second chapter, the Lord says, whatever you do about in Bhakti Yoga, there is no avikramanasho, there is no destruction. Pratyabhaya navidete, no, even there is no diminution, it doesn't decrease. Svalpamapyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhaya. Even if one does very little devotional service, it saves him from very great danger, just like Ajamila. So in this way, the Lord also says these things, and that to the an aspiring devotee may meet various obstacles and fall down, but in his next life he will continue his practice by dint of what he has already accomplished in devotional service. In Bhagavad Gita 6th chapter also the Lord says the same thing. He will never again become bound up by the laws of karma. The man who is liberated and established in discrimination will under no circumstances seek false enjoyment by indulging in material sense gratification. He knows that the soul is changeless and that any contrary conception imposed on the pure self is sheer illusion. If during the immature stage of spiritual practice one suffers physical disease or other disturbances, the Vedas enjoin that he should certainly take proper measures to eradicate the problem. The prescribed remedies for lust and other enemies of the mind are meditation on the Supreme Lord and Sankirtana. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. The loud chanting of his names. The remedy for the disease of false ego is rendering service to the Supreme Lord's saintly devotees. By practicing yoga, some non-devotees keep their bodies youthful and fit and may even achieve mystic perfections or a long life. People generally think that yoga means body fit and enjoy material things. But they don't know what is real yoga. Real yoga means to be linked to the Lord. Yoga. But these attainments are actually worthless because they are perfections only of the material body. An intelligent person is therefore uninterested in this kind of process. Rather, by taking shelter of the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, an aspiring devotee who is seriously dedicated to the Lord rids himself of all disturbances and becomes empowered to attain the highest perfection, the full bliss of spiritual life. So in this way, Jnana Yoga is described in this 28th chapter. The Lord says all these things to Uddhava, Jnana Yoga. Everything is there, just in Bhagavad Gita, you see, the expansion in Bhagavatam. What is there in Bhagavad Gita in summary or in short is described in detail in Srimad Bhagavatam. So in this way, this Jnana Yoga is described by the Lord to Uddhava. So thank you very much. Please don't forget to subscribe, share and like our channel and get the blessings of the Lord. Hare